Eyepokes, nut shots, and fence grabs. Something has to change with the rule set and with the penalty for fouls in the UFC. More about it in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
We see time and time again every weekend when we watch the UFC fouls that get committed. And I feel like recently more than ever, right? The three main fouls that you see are nut shots, so kicks, punch, whatever to the nuts, or for the females to the birth region or whatever you want to call it.
What the is that?
Eye pokes, right? Fingers or potentially toes, but I don't think I've ever seen a toe in the eye, but fingers in the eyes, and fence grabs. The UFC is in a cage and you can grab the fence with your hands or with your toes. That is also a fence grab to prevent takedowns, to get up, like stuff that you should not use the fence, so you cannot grab it, right? And you see those fouls a lot. Now, let's digest them bit for bit. In general, my opinion is there needs to be a stricter penalty set for those fouls, because in general, normally the referee, like if you kick the other on the nuts, he may give you a warning, and depending on how intentional it looked and whatever, and if you then poke him in the eye, it's in his judgment if he wants to deduct a point from you for that round or if he wants to give you another warning and stuff like that. And I just feel like the referees are way too not harsh enough with the penalties that they give, right? Because a nut shot, for example. Of course, a nut shot, in my opinion, is the one that should be judged the least, because nut shots 98% of the time are not intentional, because I try to give you an inside leg kick, you kind of move or whatever, and then it hits your nuts. It happens a lot in training as well. It can happen so fast. There's so much movement involved, and you can kick, and it is effective to kick the inside thigh or the rib region. And when the other one, I don't know, goes up a little bit or moves, or you're in the clinch and he's a little bit squatted down, but then he stands up completely and you try to kick him in the ribs and then you kick him in the nuts. Or front kick and he comes forward and you catch him midway in the nuts. It happens. And that, in my opinion, is a good rule set, that the person who gets nut shotted has as much time as he wants. I do think the referees sometimes rush them a little bit. I liked the referees to chill and just give them all the time they need. Because if you've ever been really kicked in the nuts, you know that stuff can like kill you for minutes. It's not that you just like after 30 seconds, all right, I'm good again. And that really affects you, and you're in a fight that impacts your whole life. If you lose that fight, you might get cut from the UFC. You get half your paycheck if you lose that fight. That fight can impact your whole life, your whole career. So you don't want to go out there halfway all right. You know what I mean? And if you get kicked in the nuts, that stuff hurts and it really impacts you. So I think that's good that they can take as much time as they want. I think the referees sometimes are a little bit too stressy, like asking them every 5 seconds, you good? You good? Can you fight now? You good? Like, give them their time, you know what I mean? But you shouldn't just take a point every time someone kicks someone in the nuts, right? But the main factors are eye pokes and fence grabs. Let's first go to the fence grabs and then to the major one, the eye pokes. Fence grabs are very situational in my opinion. I think if, for example, I have you against a fence and I go for a takedown and you grab the fence and by that you prevent the takedown, referees should something and say, don't grab the fence. They warn him. Yeah, okay, you warned him now, but he still avoided my takedown that could have potentially even ended the fight. If I'm much better than him on the ground, I could have finished him on the ground.
How you can tap? Go sleep. Go sleep.
You know what I mean? That might be my best takedown that just landed there. So I think in that case, when someone grabs the fence and you were in for a takedown, no matter how good the takedown attempt was, if you grab the fence to prevent the takedown, you should get full guard or half guard on the ground, depending on what kind of takedown you went for. It's not that hard to kind of predict which position you would have landed in. And you should get that position. You should get the position on the ground. And you should get the benefit of the doubt. They should rather give you half guard if there's a potential that you would have landed in half guard than full guard, because if you grab the fence, it should be a punishment, right? So I think that's something that they need to do. They need to give him the takedown then, because a warning won't do anything. You know what I mean? And if you do it again, if you grab the fence again like this, a point deducted plus the position. I get the position on the ground plus you get a point deducted, which is a big impact on you. Also, when you get up, when you use the fence to get up or something, a warning doesn't do anything. Give him back the position. Make him go back to the ground. If he does it again, point. Easy as that, right? Then the eyepokes. The eyepokes for me are the most significant because I don't want to hear any of those Twitter warriors who are 200 or 300 pounds sitting on their couch eating their chips being, oh, don't be such a sissy, keep fighting, it's only a poke in the eye, like with Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo wasn't blinking anymore like that. Yeah. Does that mean that his eye is fine? No, it's not. If you've ever been training martial arts and you've ever been poked in the eye, which I don't hope you have, but if you have, I can tell you I have been, especially in grappling a couple of times, it sucks. And just because you don't, sometimes, yeah, it feels like there's dirt in there, so you blink the whole time like that. But sometimes also, if it's a really bad eye poke, your eye recovers, that you can look like this again without blinking the whole time. But your vision is very impacted because your eye is damaged.
That's why I used to wear sunglasses, baby boy.
There can be some liquids in the eye from the sweat and the blood and whatever, or whatever it is, I'm not a doctor, that impact your vision. And there can also be damage to the nerves and stuff like that impact your vision. And with Henry Cejudo, if he sees 3 Song Yadongs or he doesn't see him at all on one eye, he should not continue to fight because a broken nose, something like that, okay, that's just pain that you have to fight through, right? But if you don't see anything, how can you fight if you don't see? I know Michael Bisping probably has an opinion on that, and it's not like a swollen eye that gets swollen shut from the jab of your opponent. That's then a good thing for your opponent because he inflicted that damage. But if he pokes you in the eye, that's not a legal strike. You know what I mean? So in that case, you should not continue if you can't see. And in my opinion, eyepokes should be handled way more strongly, especially, let's take the example from Henry Cejudo against Song Yadong. Song Yadong fought like this. It is illegal to fight like this.
That's fucking illegal.
But the referee Jason Herzog, who I deem as one of the best referees, barely even warned him. As soon as a fighter fights like this, immediately step in, say, hey, don't stretch up, don't just scream it from the side, stop the fight, go to the fighter, say, hey, don't do this. I warn you, don't do this.
When do we do this?
Right? That's so important because it is not allowed to fight like this. If that's your style, that's your problem. Put the fists up, the fingers up, or make a fist. That's the rule set, bro. If you fight like this, even if you don't poke me in the eye, you still impact me because I cannot attack you, come forward when you have your fingers like this. Because I'm like, I don't want to get poked in the eye, so I can't attack the same way if you fight like this. And if you then poke me in the eye, immediately take a point. Immediately. Because that to me is an intentional eye poke. If you fight like this, and you poke me in the eye whilst I'll come forward, that's an intentional eye poke. Because it is intentional if you fight, even though it's not in your brain, your intent, you don't fight like this because you want to poke me in the eye, but by fighting like this, you increase the risk by however many 1000% that you will poke me in the eye. So you take it into consideration, and even though you might not actively think about it, you're intentionally poking my eye. And just the threat of the eye poke should be enough. I don't like that the referees just act like the police acts. The police acts, we can only act if something happens. No, prevent the eye poke. Warn the person if he fights like that. Give him maybe 2-3 warnings if he keeps fighting like that. And even if he doesn't poke the other one in the eye, if you said to him 2 or 3 times, don't do this, make a fist or fingers to the sky, and he keeps doing it, take a point for that. Why do we have to wait until something happens? Because when it happens, when the eye poke happens, even if you take a point, the other one will have a disadvantage the whole fight because when his eye is just hurting and he can barely see out of it, and the fighter normally fights through it if his vision is not completely gone.
My vision is blurry. Yeah, blurry.
He will be impacted by it. Look at Tony Ferguson against Bobby Green, Sean Strickland against, was it against Dricus du Plessis? No. There was one fight where Sean got poked in the eye and he had real problems with it. I forgot which one it was, but there's so many examples where people then went on to lose the fight or got severely impacted with that fight. And they just keep fighting through, and their opponent maybe gets a point deducted, maybe not. Even if he gets a point deducted, if there are 2 more rounds, you will have an advantage for 2 more rounds. So you can win the next 2 rounds and still win the fight. And I think if an eye poke happens several times during a fight, if I poke you in the eye 2-3 times during a fight, I should be disqualified. Because only with strong rules, people will listen to them. So I think overall we need way stronger penalty, faster penalties for those rule breaks. But this is my opinion of that whole situation. Write your opinion in the comments, you guys. What do you think? Was Henry just being a weasel? Am I just speaking nonsense? Eye pokes are not bad. Write it in the comments, you guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to ring the bell as well, all that good stuff. Check out my merch, bloodshop.net, the coolest merch in the industry. Honestly, check it out, you guys. We're about free shipping as well if you enter the code free at checkout. So check it out, link is in bio. Stay bloody, you guys, and until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.